Hello boxing fans, right now I am talking about Nonito Donaire versus Toshiaki Nishioka. That was good pronunciation on both accounts, thank you. And right now we've got a good unification match. We've got a load of the belts up for grabs, basically just the one that Rigondeaux does not hold. And we are looking at Donaire. He has 29 wins, 18 by way of knockout to a single defeat. That's a 30-fight record. And Nishioka with a 39 wins, 24 of which by way of knockout, to 4 defeats, only 1 by way of knockout, and also 3 draws, making a 46 fight career. Going into the advantages, and who do we think has the power? In theory, it should be with Donaire. However, let's be pointing this out, his power is becoming compromised the amount he goes up in weight. Just look at his record. If you don't believe me, he was a monster at flyweight, a beast at super flyweight, a wild animal at bantamweight, and now he seems to be more of a domesticated animal, like a cat, at super bantamweight. See, now every now and again he does show us why he was so successful back in the day, where he drops his opponent with a monstrous punch, and then more often than not now they get up and then they just continue to take the shots because they're just that big and they can take it. Nishioka is not a huge monstrous puncher. He's more of a Calzaghe type puncher where he'll throw a large volume of shots over a long period of time. He'll throw a lot of shots really quickly and overwhelm his opponents, and sometimes the ref goes no and calls halt to it. I don't think that's going to happen in this fight, however. Looking at the speed, and that should be with Nishioka, like I said. One thing that he does have in his game plan is a lot of speed and work rate. He does throw a stupendous amount of punches, very fast shots. This can be seen in his Rendell Monroe fight, if you want to look at that. However, I don't think he's ever replicated that ever since then, in which maybe that he, burnt himself out in that fight, maybe, who knows. He could have, if that's the case, this could be a much easier fight for Donaire than it is on paper. However, Donaire has come up the weights, and in terms of speed, he should bring speed. However, the extra weight will have took away from his speed. So they've both got good speed. Don't take it away from that. Donaire, we do know, has the power. In terms of movement, I would say they are even. Both have got good movement. There is more to be desired from both, in terms of movement, to be honest. After looking at Nishioka, if you're 36 years old and coming off a year's layoff, you're going to have to say that you're going to be losing something, to Father Time sooner or later. And, with age, you do become more flat-footed, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he's more flat-footed in this fight. Donaire, on the other hand, does have decent foot speed and movement. However, defensively, there's a lot more to be desired, like I said before. Because if you look at his fight against Matabula, not that he speaks like that. Oh, his name's Matabula anyway, from Argentina, I think. He didn't get out of the way defensively of a lot of his shots with his footwork. He was still getting clipped, hit, and basically racketed around, by this guy Matabula. So, something to take into account there. Looking at the chin, we're going to say Donaire there. He's taking a shot in his time. But the higher in the weight he gets, the more likely that sooner or later he won't be able to take the power of his opponent sometime. That's going to be eventually, and eventually he'll get dropped and, put down for good. It does happen to everyone. Even Floyd Mayweather's been dropped. People go, what? Floyd Mayweather's never been dropped? Have a look at the Zab Judah fight. Even if you don't think it was a drop, the referee counted it as he got dropped. Other than that, Nishioka, he doesn't have a great chin, to be honest. He gets dropped on the regular. He's been stopped before, and that's a big positive for someone with big power, or even a big power punching rep like Donaire. What that's saying is you're there to be hit. You can be hit, you can be hurt, and he's going to try and do it. Stamina, Nishioka, yeah. Let's take away that he's had a 12-month layoff. Let's take away that he's 36 years old, and let's just look at their attributes in terms of just the stamina against Donaire. We know that he can go the full 12 rounds, throwing a lot of punches. You know, I would say Donaire has slightly better accuracy and throws less shots, but the fight is not in Japan, so I don't see Donaire being penalised for being outworked in these rounds. So even though Nishioka does have the better stamina in terms of he can throw a lot more shots over the 12-round distance, I don't think if it comes down to one being outworked over the other, then I just don't see him getting the benefit of the doubt like other people do. You understand? So I'm going to go into overall my prediction now. I think that's a good setup for it. And I think this fight is going to be subject to boxing politics, you know. I think it's a good fight and a very competitive fight. Don't get me wrong. And to be honest, under the right circumstances, I think that this is a fight that Nishioka could win. Unfortunately, those circumstances include the fight being in Japan or somewhere neutral, and you know, him being as good as he was before his 12-month layoff without any negative effects whatsoever, including ring rust, you know, general aging of all the time, stuff like that. However, you know, that's not how boxing works. You understand? I mean, if unfortunately, I love the idea of neutral venues, but they won't sell. That's the main issue with it. I see Donaire getting a reasonable decision here. You understand? Maybe 3 points in it, you know. That's what I'm going to say. There's going to be 3 points in this fight, and it could be controversial. So if, you know, Nishioka wins this fight and Donaire wins by 3 points, that's what I'm pretty much saying. Like I said, if this was a fair fight where geographic locations don't count for shit and promoters don't give bungs and money doesn't rule the world, then I think this is a very close fight. One that probably Nishioka can win, but money does rule the world, promoters rule boxing, and Donaire has more to do in boxing today than Nishioka does with his 36-year-old age. So I don't think, regardless of what happens, Donaire loses this fight. So at the end, I'm going to say Donaire wins this fight by the points of 116, 112. That's how confident I am about that.